February 3rd, 1959, three musicians, Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, J.P. Richardson, known best at the time as the Big Bopper, on the cusp of rock and roll legend, hopped on a chartered plane in an effort to avoid a hellish bus ride through a brutal Midwestern snowstorm. Within minutes after takeoff, the airplane crashed, killing everyone on board and changing the timeline of pop music forever.
What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning into this video here on Elvis is the Man. Now, all growing up, I heard that song American Pie, and I was thinking to myself, like, that was when music died? How about when Elvis died? Or how about this? Think about this. Think about the tragedy of Elvis never touring in the 60s. He did not go on a single tour in the 60s. People are like, oh yeah, he performed at Pearl Harbor in 61. He did some Memphis shows, a couple shows in 1961.
You could die. Although it's always cloudy, you still can find some room for broken-hearted lovers to cry there in the gloom. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You're just an old hound dog, crying all the time. Well, bless my soul, what's wrong? I met you like a man on a boat. Well, please don't ask me what's on my mind. I'm a little mixed up, but I feel fine. There's only one cure for this body of mine. To have that girl that I love so fine.
He did come back in 68, but think about it. The greatest thing to hit the music scene ever, Elvis in the 50s, Hound Dog, Blue Suede Shoes, Heartbreak Hotel, Jailhouse Rock, Movie Star, breaking all records. I think there was like 80% viewership in America when Elvis went on Ed Sullivan. Okay, how about when Elvis went into the army? Maybe that's when music died. Think about it. Music was not the same after Elvis went into the army. You know, we all know the story, like Colonel released strategically placed songs like I Need Your Love Tonight, I Got Stung, Don't. Good songs, kept Elvis on the radio, but he was off TV by 1958. Made a quick little appearance on Frank Sinatra, then went off to the movies. Nobody saw him on TV again singing, if you weren't in the theater, until the 68 comeback special in the latter part of December, pretty much you could say 1969. Okay, December 3rd, pretty much right into 1969. Nobody saw him. Elvis's TV appearance, except for like I said, the Sinatra special, from 1957 to 1969, Elvis wasn't on TV except for the theater. That's when the music died. That's the tragedy of it. Now let's talk in this video about why this is and how these things happened.
Holy smoke, land sakes alive, I never thought this could happen to me.
Guys, I personally believe that the US government intentionally made Elvis get his draft papers to put him in the army because of the big impact, what was believed for the negative, Elvis was having on the youth of this generation. Nobody had seen anything like Elvis. Elvis made people think differently about things they never thought about. Elvis danced like no other, moved like no other, looked like no other, sang like no other. He totally shook up America in the 50s, and people were totally shocked by it. So I think that Elvis was actually drafted for that reason. Now, a lot of people were getting drafted, and Elvis could have been drafted randomly, just like all the other young adults were. But I personally think that it was planned to make sure Elvis got his draft notice, to take him out, for his career to be ruined, or at least the steam taken out of his sails, to stop or slow down what he had started, and to tame this wild man. You see, they cut his sideburns, hair cut, like totally like, you know, when you shave like a big beautiful dog and they just look at you like, what the heck just happened to me? You know, testosterone sank. That's how Elvis felt.
8 o'clock Friday morning. Enter Clay with bodyguard. To him, larger bodyguard of Cameron.
Now, some also think Muhammad Ali was drafted for this purpose also. He was a very popular boxer. He was very outspoken, very brash. Took his stand on what he believed was going on in the country as far as race, and didn't back down. So maybe the U.S. government drafted Muhammad Ali with the same purpose. Now, just for the record, I'm very pro America, all that stuff, pro military, all that. But you might see some similarities here. It could be possible that it was their time, but they also could have been made sure they got their cards, if you know what I mean. Now, what I think wasn't anticipated was the type of person, the type of character, the type of personality Elvis actually had and what he had down deep. I mean, the public image of Elvis really was, this is some hardcore bad boy. But what he really was is like a pro-God, pro-American, pro-country, really a good Southern gentleman. And he actually turned out using his time and talent to help raise money for things like the Pearl Harbor Memorial and the museum and all that type of recognition for the fallen soldiers. So I think Elvis did a 180 on him and totally flipped it around, if that were the case, you know, in the first place.
So guys, who knows what it would have been like in the 60s if Elvis would have recorded music like he did in the 50s. Now, I mean, there was a lot of good music that came out. The Beatles, Rolling Stones, that type of thing. I think Motown would have been the same, but who knows if these Beatles, like the British Invasion and all that, would have hit hard like it did if Elvis was still riding high, or maybe Elvis would have fizzled out. I personally don't think that ever would have happened, because he did a little fizzling out, I guess you could say, in the mid 60s because, you know, his movies, but then he came right back when he, you know, put the pedal to the metal again with the 68 special. But like, tell me what you guys think of this too. I don't see why Elvis couldn't have copied the 50s replica for the 60s. Like, in the 50s, Elvis did Love Me Tender, Jailhouse Rock, Loving You, King Creole, some great movies, and they were getting better and better, as well as good records. They weren't all soundtracks, and he made TV appearances. So why couldn't he have followed that pattern in the 60s? You know, I mean, a lot of things we could talk about. It could be the Colonel didn't want to overexpose him, which I think backfired. You know, because if Elvis would have been on TV like other people, he could have promoted certain songs. Also, I think that Elvis could have just been a little lethargic with it too. I mean, Elvis was the one ultimately in control. But so I was thinking about the day the music died, and I'm thinking, no, it didn't die then. When Elvis was drafted and got out of the army and didn't tour for the whole 60s, that's when we missed out on what great period of Elvis music that it could have been. Who knows what could have happened? Tell me in the comments what you think would have happened if Elvis would have toured and kept up the 50s pace like he did. What do you think would have happened? Tell me, I'm curious to see what you guys think. But I hope you enjoyed this little video. Make sure you comment, leave a like if you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe.